someone wrote in and said, "Hey Reid, I've been following you for several months now, and I think your outlook on sex is amazing. You're one of the most sensitive, aware, powerful men I have the pleasure of learning from. Anyway, on to my question. I was 19 years old when I had a sexual encounter with someone who was 15 at the time, about 8 years ago. I'm fully aware that this was below the age of legal consent.
Depending on where they live.
Right. Well, apparently where they were. But it wasn't a forced interaction, if you understand my meaning. I was emotionally immature. I had no clue of the potential ramifications or even the implications of what I was doing. It wasn't something I felt good about over the years, but with all the celebrity revelations, I'm sure you're fully aware of, I have a few concerns. The biggest is how to reconcile the shame I'm feeling, knowing that what I did was not okay, but at the same time making my peace with it, so to speak. I'm becoming more active in LGBT and Kink scenes, and one of the fears I have is this possibly coming out and ruining a potential lot of good I could be doing from the emotional immaturity of my past. And also, should I reach out to this girl and see if I can help resolve anything for her, or endeavor to do so? So I really appreciate this person writing in. It's a delicate subject. I am here with Reid Mahauka from readaboutssex.com.
And I'm with Cathy Gartuli here from the intimacydojo.com. I'm just going to cut to the quick. I'm not going to answer this question because I haven't done enough research yet on what advice to actually give this person. Because this falls under legalities. And for me to sit here and tell you what I think, which might put you in some sort of legal jeopardy. I've already started asking around and I'm having conversations with people about this. So at some point I will answer this question. And I'm so flattered that somebody would reach out to me about this. And I also don't want to give somebody advice that puts the burden on other people. Because the challenge is right now that maybe this person doesn't want to hear from you. And so you reaching out to them could actually not be the best advice.
Right.
And this is tricky for me because I'm the say what you're not saying person. One thing I can tell you to do is go talk to a therapist. Go talk to a professional listener who, will keep things confidential. I don't think, again, I have to check out the legal, I don't think this is a mandatory reporting situation for a therapist or something like that.
You can check in your state, but generally if it's not ongoing,
And I'm also not trying to skirt the question by declaring this is, legally stuff and I need to put this person's concerns and welfare over the person who was 15 at the time. So I'm sure that this video will get me all kinds of comments. But I want to make sure that I've done my due diligence and giving the best advice I can. And so I'm in the midst of research and reflection right now. What about you?
Thank you for sharing that. I think that finding a good therapist to work through this, maybe someone that isn't closely aligned with the community you're in, just to give yourself a little distance might be helpful. And to work through the shame and the guilt. I was abused as a child. I have no wish for people to be suffering. Personally, I don't think people feeling deep shame makes it any better for what I went through.
Well, if you had somebody who came out of the woodwork from your past to check in and talk about stuff,
I think it would depend partly on where I was, because I've done a lot of healing. I might be fine with it, but someone is still in trauma or trying to deny it or put it away, that might be really traumatic. It might re-traumatize.
And it might be that this person is not traumatized.
It might have been fine, not an issue for that person.
Yeah. There's an article about a woman who slept with David Bowie when she was underage, and for her, she's fine with it. And that is an interesting, thing to look at from different sides. And I forget how old she was. She might have been 17 or 16 or something like that. And Bowie was, I think, in his 20s. Yeah. But again, interesting stuff. And, how, again, for this situation, how would you know where somebody is in their journey?
Yeah, so if you're working with a trained therapist, someone who has experience in this area, working through some of your issues first might, even if you decide that it's the right thing to reach out to this person with a therapist's help, approaching someone from a point of shame and just like feeling a lot of intensity, you may not be able to hold space for that other person or hear them as well. So at the very least, you want to work through as much as you can for both your own sake, and if you decide that it's the right thing to talk to this person at some point, you'll have more capacity to be there for them and hear what they're saying.
There's also, you might want to look in the direction of 12-step programs, not for this case in particular, but the fourth step is, I think it's the fourth step, is around making amends, and there's some interesting ideas around what that means. Just because you're going through a process of healing for yourself and taking responsibility, making amends doesn't necessarily mean going and finding everybody in your life and then basically demanding that they have a conversation for you to feel complete.
Yeah, it's supposed to be in service of the other person, whoever you might have wronged.
So, again, this is tricky stuff, and it's deep stuff, and I super appreciate the question, and I wish I had more to actually say about it.
Thanks very much for writing in.